Reading, writing, listening, and speaking. What connection do these 4 words have? Well, all of these words are the skills for the mastery of language, which are the thematic approaches and combined strategies that are required when learning a language. Practice that incorporates these skills will definitely help with mastering the fluency in any language. Despite the obstacles that one may face with each level of learning a language, the fact that there are only 4 skills to acquire is magnificent. Additionally, having the ability to use a language will surely lead you to a global trail. In my case, English was a language I had to naturally cope with through these 4 skills. I doubt that English is the easiest language to learn, but at the same time, I don't think it's the most difficult compared to Arabic or Mandarin. As English is the most spoken language, with more than 1 billion speakers in the world, it probably sounds like a common language to all of us. I'm one of the billion speakers in the world that uses English as a communication tool to share my thoughts to the people in front of the screen. As you can see and hear, I'm standing here, speaking English as clearly as possible and enunciating my words so that my voice would be delivered. But I'm Japanese. What about my mother tongue language, Japanese? Throughout the 16 years of my life, there are a couple things I've always considered about language. Is there a right or wrong to use any language? What's the beneficial point of learning multiple languages? Due to my father's work, I was grateful enough to receive the opportunity to spend over half of my life living abroad. Throughout these years, I was able to experience events that included multicultural and leadership, made friends, and expanded my social network with people from all over the world. I was also able to try out different sports and activities, which led to achieving something or failing something. These are just some events I encountered, which took me to the road of success, growing me into who I am today. If I say everything, my time would most likely be up. We'll be here all night. 95% of my time abroad was filled with pleasurable moments. Regardless of the fabulous memories, 5% of my time didn't go well because of the barriers of language inside of me. By the time I could walk and talk, I was in Singapore participating in an international preschool. 3 years old, I was already swallowed into the environment where English was the main language. School was a place for me to collaborate with many friends and learn English, whilst home was a place for me to work on my basic Japanese skills. I believe that until the age of 7, I was able to speak both languages fluently. I was a bilingual speaker then. After my stay in Singapore, I transferred to Bangkok, Thailand for 5 years, until the age of 12. As I mentioned, home was a place for me to talk in Japanese, and school was a place for English. My parents assumed that this method would help maintain the level of both languages, helping me to become even more bilingual. However, it didn't turn out that way. With all the activities I participated in, I spent most of my time at school. Even if I got home, I spoke in English with my younger siblings. This slowly started to become a new norm. With the lack of speaking Japanese, my skills to comprehend the Japanese language got lower, and I dropped down to the place where I needed to use Google Translate to communicate. When I was an elementary student, I was embarrassed to say that I was Japanese when I couldn't speak the language. My English dominated my Japanese. I didn't want to do anything that represented my Japanese culture because I thought that a person that couldn't speak the language wouldn't be qualified as that nation's citizen. There were times when I asked my parents why I was Japanese, why I wasn't able to be adopted into a family that had English as the first language. Frustration continued throughout my head, as Japanese was the only subject I had gotten a low grade for. Myself in Thailand 5 years ago wanted to throw away the Japanese identity I had. That was how much I hated anything related to Japan, except for the delicious snacks. Words couldn't express how much I hated my nationality, identity, and everything about me that had roots in Japan. I just thought that by having the ability to speak English, one could become global and jump into the deep, unknown world. I thought that everything in my life revolved around English. If I had that kind of thought in the past, why am I here today in Japan? Well, my mother was aware that I couldn't speak Japanese at all and decided to bring me back to Japan so that I could at least speak and act like a native Japanese. To be honest, the first few weeks at school felt like torture. I couldn't communicate well with teachers, the amount of English around me rapidly decreased, and I didn't feel like myself. For example, I didn't even know how to say choir in Japanese, nor read the kanji itself. Now I know that it's gassho, but I just wanted to participate in a committee group and just join the organizing team for the choir event, not even knowing what it was. After I got used to living in Japan, my Japanese obviously got a little better than the past. My English is still improving, and I even started learning French. I realized what I was living for, found my future goals. Basically, I found my true self. I was able to understand that the way I was thinking in the past was completely wrong. Being global was not only having the skills to speak in English. This is just my opinion, but I believe that being global is somebody that has power in their languages, can understand multicultural, respect anybody from around the world, and has the skills for cooperation and collaboration. In order to achieve a society that is global, you learn from others and teach them back about your culture and your identity. Language is a tool for doing so. By coming back to Japan, I was able to find the true meaning of becoming global, and at the same time strongly understood why I had to be bilingual at the least. It would be better if I could speak about 6 languages, perhaps. Therefore, it doesn't have to be English that you learn. Just be aware that there are many ways in achieving a goal of becoming global, and English isn't the only solution to that. The way I comprehend several things has changed after coming back here. I've had opportunities to meet people I wouldn't be from other grades and countries. There are obviously barriers in anything new that you try to attempt, but how are you going to overcome that? Nobody is going to break down those heavy, tall walls for you. From my own experience, I can guarantee that one step to becoming global is by trying to learn multiple languages. It will replace your old self, and you will gain a new perspective towards the world, which you have never seen before. And this new perspective comes from learning a new language.